Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, that is so good. That is so good. I told you, this is a bourbon that I have wanted for a very long time.
I've never had this, but this is really good.
Penelope has only been around since like 2018.
Really?
Yeah.
Where's it from?
That's a fantastic question.
Where's it distilled?
Well, so the people who made it were essentially like it's sold across the United States, but the people who made it, like I think they made it they were having a daughter named Penelope. And so the guy's name, I think his name was Mike, was essentially trying to commemorate having his daughter.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool. I want to do that.
Yeah, that's a great way to do that.
Make a bourbon named Dawson. I was just telling you, they just came out with the Penelope Havana, which I really want to try. It's like a $250 bottle.
Oh, cool.
Would kill to try it. It's double cast in rum and maple syrup barrels, which is crazy to think about, right?
It's hard not to like something with maple syrup.
I agree.
I mean, think about anything that has like a syrupy flavor with it, it's always good.
Yeah. Well, and so the initial thought was that it would be too sweet, but I guess everybody was saying it's pretty well balanced and actually has a kick at the end of it. So like that sounds pretty good. But this one, this is the rosé cask, which I was hugely, this is a gift, and I was just so excited to open this because it just tastes so good. It's got a creamy finish to it. You still get a little bit of hints of those caramel. It's not as like on the front oaky. I feel like this one I could sit for a long period of time and thoroughly enjoy it.
Absolutely. I mean, this is definitely not one you want to chug, but
no.
Little bite at the end.
Yeah.
But then it's
a smooth bite.
Yes, yes.
Like it's not like a ooh. Because sometimes bourbons do hit you like that, right?
Right.
Or other alcohol.
For me, Woodford's like that. Like sometimes Woodford just gives it a little bite.
Don't you talk about Woodford like that. Don't you come at Woodford like that.
Well, the regular Woodford. The Woodford Reserve that you gave me, I like that one way better.
I just like all Woodford. Woodford is probably my go-to regular bourbon.
See, it's not my go-to. I like it, but I'd much rather have a Maker's, a Four Roses,
interesting.
Bullet, but I mean, Buffalo Trace, of course.
Yeah, we do like Buffalo Trace.
Yes.
So our question this week in the clinic, what is your favorite cereal? And this has been heated.
It has.
This has been heated.
And this has been one of our great questions of the week because, it started out, one, Captain Crunch, it's got 10 votes.
Easily the best.
But then,
actually, I think it's up to 11.
Maybe, yeah, I think it is up to 11, but...
See, don't play me.
I know. You know your votes. You're good at that. But the Special K is coming up there. I mean, it's up to like 6 or 7 now.
Cheerios is up there?
Which
is a wild statement.
I know. It's
like... Now we didn't distinguish it like different types of cereals. We just went with like the overall brand.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're talking about Captain Crunch, you're talking about Crunch Berries.
Yeah,
right? That's of course. Berries. Oops, all berries is...
Does anybody like the non-Crunch Berry Captain Crunch?
Is that a thing? Do they make like one that's just no berries?
They do.
What?
You didn't
know. So I just want the roof of my mouth to be slaughtered by cereal?
just like cardboard just going against everything, right?
No. I don't want that. That sounds terrible. I want the berries. The berries are the flavor. I mean, of course. The cardboard yellow pieces are fine. But we had this discussion too about Lucky Charms. I don't know how you like Lucky Charms.
It's sweet. It's nice. It's good.
It's paper and styrofoam with flavor, just colorings.
As a little kid, I used to just leave the marshmallows in there. I'd always save those for last, and
marshmallows are disgusting.
I'd save one of each, and then that would be my last one.
But no, hot take, it's terrible. But what's not on the board? And I'm still shocked at this. Trix.
Cookie Crisp.
Phenomenal cereals. Not on the board. Cocoa Pebble, Fruity Pebbles, they're up there. Frosted Flakes has a vote or two.
It's only Wednesday.
Somebody put Great Grains. Yeah, there's been a long week. It feels like it's been a long week.
It has, yes. I don't know why that is, though.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I don't know. I mean...
It's just a weird week. The shift in weather is probably changing it.
You've been editing some videos.
Oh, God. Editing videos for this podcast has been crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, welcome in. Sore Points, Strong Drinks, SPSD, as we like to call it, where we like to debunk, drink, and repeat.
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers. This is episode 3.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. First 2 episodes were posted yesterday.
Mm-hmm. And
technically today.
So far, we've gotten some pretty good reviews on it. I mean, there's some things that we can get better at. Like, we've upgraded just a little bit of our...
right? Not the bourbon. The bourbon tray.
Of our stage of bourbon, but...
Well, and I mean, we're not pros at this. We're 2 guys, 2 dudes. The dude abides. In the movie.
No idea.
Dude, look, The Big Lebowski. Come on.
Never seen it.
Tragic.
There's a lot of tragic movies.
Tragic.
I know.
Tragic.
I know.
I'm
getting there. At least I've seen Chef.
Finally.
Great movie.
But you haven't watched the other 3 movies that I gave you 8 months ago?
We haven't even known each other. Well.
Yeah, is that right?
We haven't even known each other for 8 months.
Have we not?
No.
No, actually, I think this is month 8.
June
to December.
It was May.
January.
May is when we met, and June is when we started working together.
Month 9, brother.
But
I mean, if you want to diminish how long we've known each other, that's on you.
You've given me these movies like maybe 3-4 months ago.
That's a long time, dog.
Yeah. Busy.
Yeah, okay. That's your excuse to everything.
Christmas, New Year's, it's been busy.
Anyway, so we've had a good time. But we're basically just 2 guys that want to talk about the things that drive us crazy in the clinic.
Right.
The things that we feel like people should know and have a drink at the same time.
Exactly. I mean, we talk about a lot of, sore topics. A lot of sore topics that it just gets us going. We tell patients about it, and they agree with us that it's sore. It's a lot of people don't know about certain things, and that's the whole purpose of what we want to do with this podcast, is just educate people, get some things out there that aren't really, talked about, or at least if they're talked about, they're not talked about enough. Yeah. So, yeah.
So we don't really catch the model, but, today's episode is we're going to try to hit part 2 of the insurance stuff. So we're going to dig our feet in and grind a little bit more to that insurance thing.
We got going so much in the last episode that,
it was a good time.
I know, it was a good time. We were having
so literally afterwards we played video games for an hour.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
it was you. I think I'm going to say this, and you could be wrong. I think you were more excited to play video games this time than to record the podcast.
It was a really good game. But
it's not like you talked about. I can't wait to record the podcast. You're like, Jordan, I'm so excited to play video games. Which, it's a good as game. 2 dads, right? And this is important because as 2 dads who I would argue we're both good dads. Hands down, we're pretty good dads. Always can grow.
I have a lot to learn. We always grow.
But we're good dads, right? And we're breaking generational curses, themes. I took my son to the barbershop last weekend. Sat in a chair with me. It was just a super proud dad moment. As we cut off 3 inches of that boy's curly mop.
Did you cry?
Of course I cried. My barber cried. Shout out.
Really?
Antonio Allen.
No way.
But yeah, he cried.
That's funny.
But yeah, I mean, we're 2 dads who are busy. We are busy. We're married. We love our wives. We make sure that they get plenty of time, attention, and care. Same with our children. And then we're running clinics. And we're kicking ass as we run a clinic too. So
at the end of the day, we deserve some time for ourselves. Just like every patient should make that time for themselves, right? I mean, they, by coming to the clinic and seeing us, they make that time to see us and take care of themselves as we encourage them to do so. But also at the same time, they should be doing more stuff for themselves, going on walks, doing things they enjoy, video games, whatever, because it shouldn't all just be about work. It shouldn't all just be about being dads. We got to take care of ourselves.
Right. It's hard though, because it's hard to balance some of that stuff.
It is.
I like to read, right? Read 60 books last year. My goal is 70 this year. I'm at 12 books, by the way.
Really?
12 books? Yeah. Pretty high.
Don't ask me where
but I also like to watch TV shows. I'm a big anime guy. I like to watch shows. That's how me and my wife bond. Yeah. But I do like to work out and do this. So it's a juggling act, which I think everybody deals with. And then being a clinic director and working to continue that enterprise and build an empire for both you and I.
We're building an empire? Is that what we're
building an empire? Absolutely. I mean, you're kind of bogging the empire down right now. No, I'm just kidding. It's a joke. It's a joke. You're too busy. Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Well,
No. All right.
being a father is hard.
Speaking with our new empire, we had a new hire interview yesterday.
We did, yeah. It was
To
really
bring
fun.
somebody on the team. I thought she was delightful. It was a really interesting time. I think I surprise people with interviews because I have them do working interviews.
I've never seen that done before, but I like your idea.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great way because how else am I gonna? I mean, if you just stand back and watch and minorly chat, it's not great. And so get in there with the patient with me. And I made sure, now again, I made sure that it was patients that would all be comfortable with it, right? So I scheduled her at a time that was decent. But yeah, I thought it was really interesting. What I think was the most interesting was I think it was a surprise. And I think we run into this a lot, right? Is people are surprised at the culture that we have built in our clinic.
It's a culture shock for
Yeah.
sure.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people think of physical therapy as this place where you just go do exercises and go about your day. It's like there's more to rehab, there's more to physical therapy than just exercise. There's more than just pain related things.
Mm-hmm.
It's mentally, it's physically, it's a whole body thing. And we can assess pretty much any part of the body, get you to the place that you need to go, whether it's with us or another medical provider. But yeah, it's yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's definitely unique, and we're the type of clinic where we like to have fun. We goof off. Tomorrow, what's the theme in the clinic tomorrow? Fuzzy PJs.
fuzzy PJs.
Did you get your fuzzy PJs out of storage?
I know where they are, and they're really easy to get to. I need to pull them out.
Okay.
But
Like soft, comfy, fuzzy PJs.
does it have to be top and bottom, or can it be like
they can just
flannel? Oh,
or
let's open just bottoms.
That's fine.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go top
because I have like flannel fuzzy bottoms that I hope.
I mean, you have historically struggled with the themes.
Yes, because I'm busy.
Busy. That's the answer to
everything. But yeah, I know. They're
everything.
Just gotta do.
We're all busy.
We are.
We just have to do it.
I gotta stop making excuses.
You just gotta do it.
It's hard. I gotta take extreme ownership.
And that is to our patients, right?
True.
And that's kind of the philosophy that I think you and I can always improve on. Is if we're making excuses, what are our patients doing?
I know. You got to play the part.
How do we look at a patient and say, "Don't make an excuse for your life," and then we make excuses?
I know we can't be doing that.
Yeah, we can do better.
Yeah,
but it's hard. Speaking of doing better, we made a mistake in our last episode.
We did.
So we said error. Our error was in the EOB. We said an estimation of benefits, we
said EOB. Like the term EOB, the abbreviation was estimation of benefits.
And then we said that it was an estimate of how much your insurance is going to pay, which is not true.
Correct.
I was told today, which is, again, we said this. We're not 100% right. We're learning all the same. We're just trying to provide the knowledge that we have.
Yes.
But an explanation of benefits is what it's called. And it's essentially, it is what the insurance is going to pay. The estimate comes from how much the doctor's office is going to charge from there, how much the claim is going to be after the insurance pays their piece.
Because the claim, once it's processed, we don't know how much, right? That's why...
So it says you could owe this.
That's why we always have to tell patients, talk to your insurance, make sure they know, or make sure you know that you are going to be paying a certain amount. Because it's happened before, we talked about it last episode, it's like, if patients don't know what they're paying, and we think we're supposed to collect $10, but we're actually supposed to collect $77... it's a surprise and it stinks, and they may or may not come back afterwards, but we try to tell them in advance, and you gotta know.
We do the best we can, and it is hard because I said this to a patient today. They said, "Yeah, insurance sucks," and I said, "Yeah, but when insurance sucks, who do you get mad at? Do you get mad at the insurance company, or do you get mad at us, your primary care providers? If I never want to send you a bill. Ever, point blank. If you get a bill from me, trust me, I am morbidly dying inside.
If we could do this for free, we would. As long as our family is taken care of.
Yeah, free-ish.
Right.
You gotta support our family.
Yeah, that's the thing. As long as our families are supported in some way, I would do what I do right now for free.
Yeah, I would. Well, and people keep asking me all the time, like, what if you won the lottery? Like, I
do this, yeah.
I've talked a long time about wanting to take on like a regional director role, but it's hard because I still want to treat.
That's a whole new level of thinking and planning and everything you gotta do.
Because I like managing, right? I don't know if you're if I'm a good boss, but
you are.
I enjoy being a boss. I enjoy managing. I enjoy the task. I enjoy succeeding. But I don't want to take away the treatment.
If I had it my way,
We're too damn hard on these hands.
we were talking about estimation of benefits versus explanation of benefits.
Yes.
So, correct term is explanation of benefits. Got to know what you're paying. Please contact your insurance. They will. The explanation of benefits is what you are supposed to be benefiting from by paying your premium. It's all laid out somewhere on a piece of paper that they give you. It's always a big stack of a piece of paper that they should be sending you in the mail, but most of the time it doesn't make sense. And once you call somebody to help you make sense of that, that would be the best way to know fully what's going on with your insurance.
Correct. Well, and I think that ties well into where we kind of left off last time, right? Which is how you can pay for this,
right?
Because unfortunately, healthcare is not free,
right?
And it's not cheap. So that kind of gets into these things that this is so crazy to me because we all have these, most part, and a lot of people don't use them, right? So we're talking about the HSA, FSA, and an HRA. And we're going to kind of break those down. So HSA is a health savings account, right? So you pay into that out of your paycheck. It is a pre-tax deduction, which is nice.
Yes.
You can always pay more into it if you wanted to. Now, again, you can only use it on qualified medical expenses, but there's a website for that, right?
Yes.
So I have the Aura rate, which tracks sleep, not a sponsor, but tracks sleep and nutrition and all of those things. And I paid for that with my HSA. LASIX. You can pay for LASIX with your HSA. You get diagnosed with sleep apnea. You could pay for, a new mattress. You could pay for a CPAP, all that stuff.
And your employer doesn't have to have that, right? It's more of you go out there and set it up yourself.
Well, so if you have correct, you could set one up on your own, right?
Right.
But if you have a high deductible healthcare plan, which we talked about last time, that is an HSA is included in that. So it's one of the perks of having a high deductible healthcare plan.
Which some people think high deductible, can't afford anything, right? Like, correct. I'm always going to be paying out stuff. But you do that HSA. You get that HSA.
And the HSA can help cover the deductibles that you're working to pay for, right? Now, the good thing about the HSA, and one of the things I like about it the most, is that it rolls over. So you constantly have it until you spend it. Now, I think at a certain point, if you leave the company, and this can get a little muddled in different companies, but I left a company a few years ago and I still have my HSA from them. But because I still have it and I'm not with that company anymore, it gets a percentage tax with it every month. But it's 70 cents to $1.50.
Okay.
So it's anything
substantial.
But, it's, again, HSAs are really, really great because it's money that sticks with you that you get to keep, that it rolls over, and you can use on IRS-approved purchases. So it's really nice.
Absolutely.
Where that differs from an FSA, which is a flexible spending account, right? I almost messed that up.
Flexible spending account.
So you pay that back out of your paycheck. So inherently, they give you an allotment of money at the beginning of the year. And you spend it.
You got to set it up. I remember my last job. You have to she asked us, hey, how much do you want to take out of your paycheck for your FSA?
Yeah.
And I didn't know what that was. I was still young at the time. I had no idea, but I ended up doing it. Mm-hmm. But you can write it off on your taxes. It's really good for tax work. And so that's why people do it.
Taxes. Yeah. I haven't even started my taxes this year. We're actually going to go with the tax guy this year, and I'm stressed as hell about it. Because we've never done that. My wife has just historically done it. And she's like, Jordan, I'm not doing it this year.
It'll get done. Right. It'll get done right. You just got to pay the fee. That's the part that sucks. Just bring all the paperwork and do it. We haven't done it yet.
I think this will be the last year we don't owe.
That's nice.
I think we'll probably owe next year. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
I feel like it might be taboo to make a podcast and talk about taxes. The IRS is listening in hey, we're going to audit you.
There's always somebody from the government listening or something.
This is Carl, your friendly government spy. Yeah. We're listening right now.
Damn it, Carl.
Carl!
Carl, get us free stuff, please.
Anyway, so you pick an annual amount, you spend that through the year, and then the next year you spend paying that back with your paycheck, right? And so the downside of that, now you get all of that January 1st.
But you got to use it.
You got to use sometimes. So you don't have to use all of it. So some programs have a very much use it or lose it. And this is a hot topic for me because I remember we went to the Charlotte Christmas Festival, whatever, way back in November. And I'm walking around, and there are literally booths out there selling medical equipment. And here's what this says on there: HSA or FSA approved. Don't forget, it's use it or lose it. And that's not true, right? And I think they were really kind of conning people into this. And it was ludicrous stuff, right? It was like the world's worst tens machine, vibrating slippers. Like it was it was dumb. But the point is that an HSA isn't use it or lose it at all.
No.
Right?
That rolls over.
Yeah, and an FSA is usually it rolls a small amount will roll over, right? But you'll lose some of it.
It's to your benefit to use it.
Correct. Because it's free money.
Exactly. And we'd be surprised at how many things are actually some of our daily items that we already buy anyway that would be approved for that.
Correct.
So, doing the research is important because it'll save you money in the long term.
Well, and again, it's one of those things like some companies don't tell you anything about it.
No.
Because if you don't use it, that money goes right back to them.
Mm-hmm.
Right back in their pocket. So you just lost, $1,500 that you could have spent on anything, and IRS approved, and instead your company pockets that because you just don't even know it exists. Most people don't even set up their card. That's crazy. I mean, we have 40-year-olds that come in. What's an HSA? What's an FSA? It's crazy.
And until we did more research on this, I barely knew myself.
It's wild. So a couple friends in the world of this, and one of them told me a really interesting thing. They were like, if you get your FSA money, like let's say you start a job in January 1st and they give you $1,000 FSA money, and you work that year and then quit in December, you technically don't pay that back.
It's awesome.
That's a wild statement. I mean, don't do anything illegal. Don't do anything crazy.
Drink responsibly as well.
Drink responsibly, but all that bullshit.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then that leaves us with one of the more complex ones, which is an HRA. So an HRA is a health reimbursement account. My wife has one of these. It's a little bit more difficult to navigate. Inherently, you spend the money and they'll reimburse you, but it is extraordinarily strict. HRAs, usually you can't do anything dental or vision. Like I could use my HSA to buy glasses, contacts. You can't use an HRA for that. And it's usually like if it rolls over, it's a very small portion that rolls over.
I feel like we have a lot of people in the clinic that use this. I mean, I feel like I've had a couple people say, "Hey, can you send an itemized receipt of all of the bill for the physical therapy session?" Like, yeah, sure, whatever, click. Yeah. So I feel like we have quite a few patients.
Itemized bills and physical therapy are a whole different thing. We'll talk about that later. That drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Now,
which one of those would you rather have?
I think that's hard because preferably, like for me, I want an HSA. It rolls over, it's always there. I have the most broad range of using it, and I don't have to stress about using it or losing it. In a time where I am constantly busy, constantly have 30 different thoughts in my brain, and I'm trying to read 70 books in a year, I'm not thinking about my use it or lose it money on a card, right? So I'd like to just have it there and use it for that high deductible healthcare plan.
I think I'd probably do the same.
Yeah.
I feel like, especially with the HRA, I feel like that just gets really...
That's really tough.
Yeah, it's tough. And you got to keep all the receipts and make sure people send it to you, and that could take a while. I mean, it took a little bit for one of my patients to get some of her stuff, but I think it'd be better to have that health savings account for sure.
Yeah. I think the way that I look at it is if you're very responsible about it, an FSA is not a bad thing. Inherently, they're relatively the same.
Right.
It's not necessarily a bad thing. Just be responsible about it. Understand which plan you have. Kind of rock from there. And here's the thing. We're talking a lot about how much we can't stand insurance. How much it's driving us crazy. How much we hate it. There are benefits.
There are.
Right? Yes. I mean, to be insured is a wonderful thing.
I know. Some people in, third world countries don't have insurance. They don't have health care. So, there's a reason why a lot of non-profit companies go out to those countries to help them is because they don't have that. So it's nice to have it to an extent.
You need to understand it.
But you got to understand it. And that's the reason why everybody gets so frustrated with it. They don't understand it.
Again, it's owning something but having no idea what to do with it. Right?
Yeah.
It's owning this charcoal grill that you convinced me to buy, and I am struggling to use a charcoal
because you don't know how to use it.
I miss a propane grill.
It's so worth the flavor. You gotta have
It is good flavor. It is.
It is. But if you're trying to grill, you have to have the lid open. But you didn't have the lid open.
Okay,
You
listen.
closed it.
I need an explanation of benefits. That's all I'm saying.
Did you read the instructions?
There were no instructions. They said figure it out. Like your insurance.
So this is a little bit different from insurance because it's fun to figure it out.
I mean,
right? It is because...
What should they do? Should they make insurance fun to figure out? Should they make it a game?
Well, no, of course not. Because
like in the cereal box, you get a prize at the end of your cereal box?
Of course not, because then they wouldn't make money. That's the whole reason why they had... Why
I'd take you to the decoder ring.
But no, grilling, it's an art. So you have to... I mean, there's so many ways to cook everything.
I mean, I'm not saying that on a propane grill. I am a master chef.
Well, yeah.
But on a charcoal grill, I feel like I've never touched food in my entire life.
See, a propane grill is like, hey, I don't really want to mess with anything, and this is going to be really fast, not much flavor. You have a charcoal grill, got more flavor. It's kind of the step just right below having like a wood-fired grill, wood-fired smoker, because the wood-fired is the classic, it's got a lot of seasoning, a lot of flavor with the wood. It's harder to use because then you got to get the fire truly just perfect for whatever you're cooking. So that's the difficult thing with the charcoal grills. You got to have the right skill in order to make the fire as hot as you want it to. You got to have the right charcoal pits, charcoal pieces, everything.
I do feel more satisfied.
Exactly.
At the end of charcoal grilling. So, you're sipping on the bourbon. Tonight we made brats. So you're sipping on the bourbon and you're grilling. I mean, it is satisfying.
Right.
It is very... It's a good endeavor.
It is. You just, again, the more you use it, the better you know it. And I mean, that's the same thing with insurance too. It's like, if the more I go to the doctor, the more I go to physical therapy, and the more I see kind of where my funds are going when I pay for those things, it's like, oh, that's what a deductible is. That's what an HSA would be good for.
A lot of us lose money every year in the medical field anyway. If you know your insurance, you just reduce the amount that you're going to lose.
Yeah.
Every year.
That's true.
And again, you can benefit from it, right?
You can.
So I think the biggest shock to you and I this year was nutrition.
Yeah.
I don't know about you. I had no fucking clue that I had free nutrition with Blue Cross Blue Shield.
I honestly, being a part of the healthcare field, this is kind of sad that we didn't quite know this. But, nutritionists, I thought they were mainly in our healthcare field more for hospital work because I've worked in a hospital a lot more. I've seen them more in action. And I thought registered dietitians were more kind of on the side, private business, maybe in a grocery store, kind of, serving meals and giving people ideas in the grocery store. But no idea that some insurances would cover it for free.
And that's Blue Cross Blue Shield, Aetna, and
Cigna.
They're free. 100% free. Registered dietitian. 100% free.
In the state of North Carolina.
At least, yeah. In the state
it
of North
could
Carolina.
be different in other states. We don't know.
Yeah.
We should always check.
Always check
some
your
people
local states.
But, most likely it's going to be free in other states.
Yeah. Well, you're starting to see some of that on social media too, right? TikTok, I'm starting to see more nutritionists post about that stuff. So, but it's really cool because you're right. I did think, oh, well, I'm an active guy who eats relatively healthy. What do I need to go see nutrition for? And our company, which offers it, was like, hey, all of you guys, go see the nutrition. It's just free. Wait, look.
Excuse me, what?
And I did. And I did learn a lot. It was helpful. Now we even have a nutritionist on staff that does more functional medicine, Nicole, and so she looks at things like stool samples, right?
Yeah, she looks at stool samples. She looks at labs,
and that's all still covered.
I had a meeting with her today, and she broke down some really great things for me and kind of how to guide me in my health. And
is it weird talking to your coworker about your stool?
No.
Feels like that'd be like
no,
kind of weird.
I don't know, but it's
Nicole probably doesn't think it's weird, but
not at all. Like, just her personality, she doesn't care at all. But it's like in the healthcare field, we get it. So anybody that works in the healthcare field, they just have a little bit more openness to
really just normal vibes and starting talking shit.
Yeah. But no, labs. Labs are one of the things that things that they look at to kind of determine, hey, is your magnesium low, is your zinc low? So now that stuff's not covered by insurance, so that's another con of insurance.
It's labs.
Labs, depending on the circumstance. The stuff that she wanted me to get, I was questioning. I was like, is this really covered by insurance? And it's not going to be a problem for the doctor to order it, but it's going to be a problem for the doctor to say that it's going to be paid for. So
when you do get an annual physical every year, right? So that's beneficial in terms of the doctor's office. You do got to go to the doctor and tell them that you want a physical. So it's kind of one of those things. Like, make sure you are very upfront about that.
Right.
If it's not a physical, if they don't code it as a physical, you will be charged.
I've done that.
Yeah,
actually.
Me too.
Yeah, and it has to be a physical, otherwise it won't be.
But I've also run into good doctors who are like, hey, you want this to be a physical, right? Yes, I do.
Good doctor.
Absolutely. Great doctor. And we do that, right? We do that. We are very upfront with our patients. Like, listen, I don't want your finances to be a barrier, so let's do this. This is easier for you. This makes it so I can help get you better without you having to worry about the cost. Right.
And we're very upfront about, hey, this is what we're seeing from insurance. Please check it, but this is what we're seeing. If that's not okay, let's figure this out.
Certain insurances also have, like, perks. Blue Cross Blue Shield has a lot of perks. Their app has perks.
Yep, I've used the app once.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many different things that you can do. You can get kind of lost in it. Have you used it before? No. So I've used it once. This was like last year when I was still at the location in Cary. But the app, you can go in there and you can. So say for instance, you want to stop drinking alcohol, right? Like you feel like you drink a little too much alcohol. You're trying to limit yourself. Yeah.
A little too much.
Drink in moderation. Drink in moderation, but.
What is moderation?
You could go in there, and if that's one of your goals, you can check in on the app and you can say, "Hey, I didn't drink alcohol today." It gives you a little point for that. I haven't looked at it in a while, but the more points you add up, the more like coupons or something that you might get for free to go spend on health things. There's a lot of different perks with that, but there's so many different programs that you can apply that to. So
now, certain insurances, insurance is constantly changing. I think that's the other big thing. And this really ties well into what we want to say next, which is know your plan.
Yes. We keep talking about it, but we need to really emphasize this.
Yes, because one of the things that happened last year, November of last year, Blue Cross Blue Shield, which is historically, I've always recommended Blue Cross. They're the easiest to go with. They generally provide like the most care without the most like back issues or needing authorization, needing peer reviews, denying claims, so on and so forth. That has now changed. Because starting in November of last year, Blue Cross Blue Shield require authorization.
And now I don't like it as much.
It is a pain in my ass. Because I had a guy who was a post-op biceps tenodesis, which is a reattachment of the biceps tendon, a repair of a tear in his rotator cuff. And I had seen him for 8 visits. And Blue Cross Blue Shield was ready to deny us for more visits solely because his surgery date was not in the note. It was in the notes the surgeon sent, but it wasn't in my first PT note. And since I didn't have that surgery date in there, they were ready to flat out deny this man who was in a sling.
Yeah, he's
in a sling. He can't move his arm. He has no strength. They're going to flat out deny him for more visits because I didn't put the surgery date in there.
We went to school. A lot of people joke that we went to school to learn how to document, right? And we did to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
We put a decent amount of stuff in our notes. A lot of good, important information that we have to know for the next session. Things that insurance needs to know. Mm-hmm. But sometimes little things like that just get missed. Yeah. When we're seeing 55 visits plus a week, and we're trying to think about the patient, not really caring about exactly what's in the damn note because the insurance wants that. It's like, okay, a date might just get missed. It's frustrating, but that's just kind of how insurance works. They look for those little things in order to deny it. Yeah.
Well, it's hard because what are you doing to the patient? And again, that patient's not going to get mad at the insurance company. Which, granted, this guy did. This guy's really, really... I appreciate this patient very much because as soon as I told him we were having difficulties with the insurance, he was on the phone with his insurance company. Yeah. He was cussing out his insurance company. And that made the process go by a lot faster, right? I've heard this my entire PT career. The patient is the best advocate. Because when the patient calls the insurance company, they do something. When I call the insurance company, they kind of slightly laugh under their voice, call me an idiot, and then all of a sudden the phone goes dead. And I'm like, hello. Right. So it's frustrating, but you should know your plan. You have to be an advocate for your own health. Hands down, point blank, in anything that we talk about. You have to be an advocate for your own health. And what that means is don't just go for the cheapest option. I understand that money is tight. And I understand that in the moment that you see that little deduction tab and how much that's going to take out of your paycheck, you're like, oh, that's a lot of money. Don't just go for the cheapest option because you will regret it when something happens.
Yes, absolutely. And going back to advocating for your health, like, yes, you need to advocate for your health. You need to be on doctors, you need to be on us, you need to be on nurses. Every time that something happens, you should be asking why. Why are we doing this exercise? Why are we doing this particular mobilization? Why am I getting this medication? Advocate for yourself.
Be understand healthcare patronage.
Absolutely. But we will always advocate for you.
Correct.
I mean, just like you just said, it's like, we got to get on the phone and we got to still talk to the insurance companies to do our part. We'll always advocate for you, but you have to do that first and foremost.
Well, but I think it's also frustrating, right? I have had countless situations where I've called the insurance company. Hi, I'm seeing Betty Sue. This is her insurance subscriber ID, her group number. What's her copay? Oh, it's $10. She gets unlimited visits. Cool. That feels weird. That's not what her card says. Let me call back. Oh, actually, it's $40. She gets 30 visits. Oh, okay, cool. Hey, why don't you go ahead and call your insurance, Betty Sue, just to check? Oh, well, they told me I get 5 visits and it's $150 a visit. This is the same insurance company with 3 different answers.
It's ridiculous.
So how is anybody supposed to know?
Yeah.
And that's what's confusing as hell, right? So the best thing that you can do is when you pick your insurance plan, and this is what people can do, and I don't think a lot of people do this, you can ask for a summary of benefit coverage. And that is going to lay out all of your everything. And I understand it's hard to read, right? I have run into healthcare professionals that are like, I don't know how to read that damn thing.
I don't.
Find somebody that can help you read it.
Yes.
Shit, AI nowadays, have AI help you read the damn thing.
Yeah, amen.
Right? I mean, ChatGPT.
Type the entire thing.
The entire thing is great. Take a picture of it. Shit. But get a summary of benefit coverage because it will tell you things. One of the things in PT that happens, now it's less and less as time moves on, but sometimes insurance companies will only cover 4 units.
Yeah, that's it.
So like in PT, we've talked about this before, we bill in terms of units. And some companies who will not be named want you to bill 6 to 7 units per patient. But the insurance company is only going to pay for 4. You don't know that. I don't know that.
Nope.
Until that claim is denied and the patient, we've seen the patient for 9 visits and now they owe $800 because their insurance denied after 4 claims.
Yep.
4 units, right? There's no way. They don't tell us that. I could call them till I'm blue in the face. They do not tell me that, right? It's going to be in your benefits, your summary of benefit coverage.
Exactly.
So
look at your benefits.
And again,
know your plan.
A lot of people don't know this. You cannot change your plan unless it is time for enrollment period, which is for most people in the latter half of the year, but there's some unique cases, or you have a qualifying event, which is divorce, addition of a child, death of a family member,
changing jobs to an extent,
increased like healthcare risk, like a diagnosis of cancer, things like that.
If it's a great example, if my wife ends up getting a new job, right? Mm-hmm. I'm right now on her insurance because that was just how it worked out. If my insurance goes away, I don't have an insurance. So that is a qualifying event. I should be able to use my, insurance with Best, or I can use an insurance that she goes to her next job with. So once your insurance goes away, that's a qualifying event as well.
Correct. Just make sure you understand. Make sure you know what you're doing and the things that you're doing. And places like hospitals and most medical services are legally obligated to disclose the cost of services.
They are.
That's relatively new.
That's why we ask, right? Ask everything. Like how much is this pill that I'm getting in the hospital?
And that's now, and I just bemoaned people asking me for an itemized receipt. Because in physical therapy, the itemized receipt is literally your copay.
Yeah.
Like, that's what you're paying your copay. You're not paying for therapeutic activity, manual therapy, no re-education. You are paying your copay.
Right.
Yes, I can give you an itemized receipt of what I bill your insurance, but it's not what you technically paid for. It's
Sure.
it's nitpicky. But in a hospital, let's say you get a bill, right? Let's say you had a hospital stay. Heaven forbid you're ever there for any reason negatively, but you have a hospital stay.
Yeah.
But let's say that you're in the hospital for 5 days. The birth of your daughter.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
You leave the hospital, you guys are fine, you're at home, you're figuring out how to manage this small thing and keep it alive and feed it and still get sleep and survive as a human yourself. And then you get the bill from the hospital. One child, one night in the hospital, and that bill is like 50 grand. And you're like, whoa, wait, what the, huh? And you start looking at it, and there's things on there that don't make any sense. You get charged just for skin-to-skin contact with your child. Because somebody's got to be in there to monitor that. You got to pay for their time. You want to roll of toilet paper? Ooh, buddy, is that going to be a $40 roll of toilet paper? And that's frustrating. Right? You're freaking out. You just had a child. Financially, your life is woo. So what do?
Freak out.
Yes. Then once you're done freaking out.
Then once you're done freaking out, you take a step back. You call your insurance. You ask, hey, I just went to the hospital. What's going to be covered? What can I maybe expect, right? You also, you wait to pay that bill. You don't pay that bill immediately. That's why, you call your insurance. You say, you talk to them about it.
Mm-hmm. Well, you call the hospital.
In the hospital, too.
You call the hospital.
Well, I mean, the hospital.
Your seat.
Yeah.
Do you know why?
No, I don't. Please
because as soon as you do, that bill jumps down in cost.
Really?
Dramatically. Because the hospital is going to give you the surplus charges that they assume to the insurance company.
I see.
Not the actual charge. So take that $40 roll of toilet paper. All of a sudden, that's actually a $5-6 roll of toilet paper, right? Because there are people out there that are going to get that bill, and they're just going to pay it, right?
Yeah.
And in my time in the healthcare field, I have seen hundreds and hundreds of people call the hospital, and I've told people this. Call the hospital, ask for my itemized receipt. Swear to you, they come back the next day and they're like, Jordan, it's thousands and thousands of dollars cheaper now. Like, you just saved me so much money. And it's like, I shouldn't have had to do that.
No.
You should have it should have been there. I shouldn't have had to do a damn thing. So that itemized receipt is extremely important. And I think the last little tidbit that's really important to talk about here is that you need to remember that prescriptions are different in your healthcare.
Yes.
We all have a little prescription card. I totally forget about my prescription card all the time because I just don't use it very often. You have a different card for prescriptions than you do for everything else. You got to pay attention to that.
Yes.
Because just because you're covered for X, Y, and Z does not mean that applies to your prescriptions. Whole different process, whole different monster. So, all in all, pay attention to all that. Ask questions. Be an advocate of your own health. Understand where that shit's coming from.
Yes. Have to.
So how does all this come into PT? And, we've talked a little bit about this. We talked about authorizations, but we're going to dive into that a little bit more. But the biggest thing, hands down, that people need to understand, and we brought this up in an earlier episode, but in the state of North Carolina, most commercial insurances, Blue Cross Blue Shield, Aetna, Cigna, United Healthcare, most commercial insurances have what we call direct access, which means you do not need a referral to walk into the clinic. You could walk into the clinic Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and say, I want to get treated for PT. I still got to charge you what your insurance is, but you do not need to go to your primary healthcare provider.
You do not need that referral.
Yeah. And now here's one of the beautiful things about our company is even if let's say you do want your primary care provider to be in the loop,
sure,
just tell us the name. And our team will call that provider.
Fax it.
And get that information to segue it. Because we do understand. Why do you need to go to your primary care provider, pay your copay just to say, hey, I want to refer a PT? Now, some doctors are really good. Some doctors are like, oh, hey, yeah, great. What are you going for? Let's talk about it. Let's chat. Most doctors are like, okay, cool. Here's the script. 5 seconds. And you just spend a $30 copay. $100 if you have a high deductible healthcare plan. Right?
Yep.
So that is one of the beauties of North Carolina. That's one of the beauties of physical therapy is that we do have direct access. You can walk into my clinic any day of the week and you can get seen if you have the right insurance with commercial insurances. Medicare, TRICARE, VA, very different monsters. That's a different episode. But most insurances, you can walk in and say, hey, I want to get seen, and I can see you on the spot.
Yeah. Should not be that difficult. You should be able to always just get seen, get your pain under control. I mean, because we've talked about this in the clinic. by the time a patient gets through the bad healthcare system that we've created, they're paying. They've gone months
Correct.
with it. They are pissed.
Yep.
They could be depressed, anxious. They're not comfortable in their job. Yep. They're already into chronic pain by that point, and so direct access has been developed for that reason. Let's get the treatment going. Let's get this under control and go about our life because pain. We should not be living in pain.
And we mentioned this that there are some visit limits.
There are.
Some insurances are unlimited. Some insurances are 20 visits. Some are
90.
Patients with 90, 20. 75, 20. I have some people where it's 8 visits and then we have to go through authorization.
Cigna.
Right? And essentially, again, we talked about authorization. Authorization is essentially what that is I have to send my note to your doctor after 8 visits. And your doctor gets to look at my note. Well, the insurance company gets to look at my note and say, yeah, they still need PT. No, they don't need PT. And what's super frustrating about that is that some insurances don't, like the person that's making that decision has a business degree. They don't know shit about what I'm doing.
Nope.
They have no clue. They have a script that tells them A through Z what the hell to do. They don't know a damn thing about it.
They'll allow it to go through or they won't.
Yeah, and it's frustrating. Now, some insurance companies do what's called a peer-to-peer, where I call and talk to another physical therapist, and that physical therapist and I chat about what could be improved, not improved, or, you need the surgery date, otherwise we're denying this, right? Which is frustrating. Now, peer-to-peers take time out of your day. Authorizations take time out of your day. How many times have we had a patient who's making great progress, and then all of a sudden we need off from their insurance, and we don't get off for like 3 weeks, sometimes a month.
Then it's like you almost start all the way over.
Almost all the way over. That's frustrating to us. That's frustrating to the patient, and it's not our fault.
It's not.
And that is one of those moments. Like, I have had some patients call their insurance every single day to get authorization. I have patients 3-way me into the damn phone call. Put me on the phone. Why do we not have authorization? I will yell at an insurance.
Yeah.
Because my whole desire in life is for people to get better.
Right.
How many people do I treat for free on a weekly basis just because I know they can't afford it and I just want them to get better? Right? Stop limiting me from doing that just because you want to make money.
Yeah.
Right?
There's a reason why, and maybe we've talked about this already, but there's a reason why a lot of PT clinics are just going cash pay. It's because it's easier for physical therapists to not have to go through insurance. They don't have to be so darn specific with that one date, with that one period, that one comma in there that makes it, applicable for insurance to say yes to. It just wipes it clean. So
one comma, that one period.
You're trying to define and illustrate how particular insurances can be.
You're such a hand talker.
I am, right?
It's very, you're not Italian, but you're very...
Yeah, I was going to say, do I look Italian? Yes.
Another question we get commonly, dry needling.
Mm-hmm.
Is dry needling covered? How much extra is dry needling? That's a really tough question because it depends on the company.
Yes.
Right? The last company I worked at, when I started there, everybody got charged $50 for dry needling. Everybody. No matter what you paid your copay or not. Then they switched over to as long as you had a plan of care, so started a treatment, it was covered, but you also had dry needle only appointments, which were smaller appointments that were specified that were not covered, and you had to pay out of pocket for those. And we still have that here. In this company, dry needling is covered, right? As long as you have a plan of care.
Whatever your copay is, that's what you pay.
And we can do what we call recovery sessions, which are shorter sessions where we do soft tissue, dry needling, things like that. Out of pocket.
Similar to your last
dry needle only sessions. And then there's some people I just dry needle for free.
Yeah.
Just dry needle for free.
How hard is it to whip out a needle, get it done right there? It takes a couple minutes.
Well, I've said this before. The 28-year-old that's in the gym that just pulled a muscle and could barely move their arm. I'm not going to be like, hey, pay me $95 and I'll fix that.
Right.
No, let me fix it real quick. Come on, I got you. Let me shove a needle in there appropriately. Let me move you around. Let me do some soft tissue. Don't stress about it. If it's still bothering you tomorrow, come back. We'll set up a full appointment. Right? Provide a service.
Yes.
Don't look at people like they're dollar signs.
No. And unfortunately, that's the way our world is working nowadays. Now, I don't know what it was. I don't know what it is, but maybe you feel this way too. 10 to 15 years ago, our world was not money driven. right? I feel like maybe, maybe it just seems different than it was 10, 15
I
years
feel like
ago.
it's always money driven. I just feel like it's starting to become even more money driven.
Right.
Like it's always been there, right? And things are harder nowadays because you and I have talked about this before. We didn't used to have access to the information we have now.
No, we didn't.
Right, when it was 2004, 2000, we didn't have access to this stuff.
No.
Right, you knew what was in your social group and your confines, and so 24/7 news channels weren't a thing. Social media wasn't really a thing. You had MySpace, but I love MySpace. I wish that was still there.
Never had one.
It was like, you never had a MySpace,
Never had a MySpace,
brother. How?
I mean, I had a Facebook when it like first kind of came out, but like just never had a MySpace.
MySpace. We were literally coding at 10 years old on MySpace.
Coding?
Yeah, because you like had to type in the code to get like the color on your background, to set your playlist for music. I was such a, what's the word I'm looking for? Very emo-y kind of kid. No, it wasn't goth. That's a little far. But I just was like really in my emotional feels all the time as a kid. So I remember on my MySpace page, you logged in and the very first song was Pain by 3 Days Grace. 10 years old, living in the suburbs, straight A student.
You know, when this came out?
Yeah, probably.
That's like 5th grade.
Yeah.
4th grade.
Listen, man. You had your top 5 friends list, and if somebody pissed you off that day, you moved them out of your friends list.
Yeah, I didn't really get into like any computer social media stuff until I was like.
Well, you don't really love social media now, so that's a different conversation.
Yes, but I can't. I'm sure we'll talk about that at some point.
Oh, absolutely.
But, yeah, dry needling. It's great. We cover it.
But do you need insurance to see APT? No. Most places have an out-of-pocket cash pay rate. Ours is $95 a visit, which is actually probably the lowest. Like it's an industry standard low.
I mean, we've seen some copays come back for $120,
and we still don't charge over $95.
But we never charge anything over $95 because we don't care about the money. We care about getting people better. Yeah. Yes, we do have to provide for our family.
Well, that's why Best is a really good. Like when we had our new hire yesterday, I said, listen, I know that this can seem daunting. I know this can seem difficult, but this job is you get as much in as you put out. And it's really one of the best places you're going to find yourself in because this is one of the few PT jobs where they don't give a rat's ass about the cash. Yes, we have to make money to stay in business. Yes, we obviously want to be a little bit profitable, but it is not the bottom dollar. The bottom dollar is people getting better.
Yes.
Hence why we get things like quarterly mental health days where we don't have to hit into our PTO. We literally just get a day off for funsies. Hey, take care of yourself. Go get a day off.
Because mental health is important.
It is. And so you don't need a insurance card to see a physical therapist. There's an out-of-pocket pay rate, and you can negotiate without your PT. Kind of rock through there, and hopefully you find yourself a good PT that's willing to do that.
Yes.
Then we run into the big old bad medical necessity. Mm-hmm. A lot of people ask me this question. They go, how long can I see you for? And I always tell them, your insurance will let you continue to see me as long as I personally deem that it is medical necessity. Not all insurances. But a lot of them will rely on me to say whether it's medically necessary for you to come or not. Some PTs will take advantage of that. Do not let us sit here and talk about PTs like they are God's gift to earth. Because there are bad PTs. Just like there are good, great PTs. There are bad doctors, good doctors, all of the above. There are people that will take advantage of the system.
They will.
You should not be in a PT clinic for the rest of your life.
It's an ethical dilemma that every physical therapist has to go through, right? It's like, and that's why we go to school to understand, balances between just making money, just treating a patient just to treat a patient, stuff like that. It's like we have to have ethical reasoning that we need to see this patient because otherwise we're just, and
sometimes you build good bonds with your patient.
And that's kind of the difference between personal training and physical therapy, which we might get into.
We're going to get into in our next episode. We're going to have Briar Rogers, who's the head personal trainer at the gym that we work at. He's going to be on the episode with us. Mm-hmm. And we're going to go through physical therapy versus personal training versus chiropractic care. That's going to be another good one. That really is going to be a really good one.
It will. But in our documentation, we have to provide that medical necessity. So kind of going back to that real quick. You need to have an impairment. So an impairment being lack of range of motion, lack of strength, something like that.
Lack of engagement. nerve tissue issues.
Yes, so, very
tissue issues.
tissue issues.
I'm a poet, and I didn't know.
You got to have that impairment, right? And that impairment leads to a functional ability that you can't do. So if you don't have the range of motion to lift up your arm, you can't reach up to get something out of your cabinet. Both of those together provides medical necessity.
Correct.
So when
it's got to be functional.
Insurance is asking, hey, is this really medically necessary for you to continue physical therapy? Those are your explanations that you need to explain to your insurance of why you need it. And that's what we do on paper. Sometimes it's still not going to go through because insurance will find ways, but that's the reason. That's why you're having physical therapy as a medical necessity.
And people are going to ask us what insurance is best. There isn't a good answer.
From a physical therapy standpoint, it might be Aetna. Or
the North Carolina State plan is now Aetna.
That's why.
The way to look at it is your employer is going to provide very set plans.
Yes.
You also have the opportunity to go outside and go to the national healthcare plans, the database, and find a plan that works for you on the website.
You have the freedom in this country to do that.
With the Affordable Care Act.
Correct.
So, and some of the beauties of the Affordable Care Act is that it does make insurance cheaper for people to get who really struggle with it. Some people have qualms about it. That's a different topic, but one of the other things it did was it took away pre-existing conditions, which is really nice.
Yes.
Because that was a headache in itself, and we don't need to get into that because it's gone. But at the end of the day, talk to your employer, get a summary of benefits, understand what's out there, be knowledgeable, Google these things. You have the World Wide Web at your fingertips. You have all the information you could ever want. You're already on your phone anyway.
You now have AI.
Just Google it.
Yeah.
You don't even have to type it. Just talk to it.
Yeah.
Fucking Siri every 5 seconds when I didn't actually ask Siri to come up.
Yeah.
Be an advocate for your health. Study the plans. Understand. And you will save yourself so much trouble and so much strife, because it really is some of my favorite patients are the ones that walk in and know their insurance top to bottom. Because it saves me so much time, so much effort, and it saves us really difficult conversations.
Well, even, to go the other way, the patients who don't know, some of those are really frustrating because we just know that we can help them. We know how long we need to see them for. We know what we need to do with this patient. We know what they have. We tell them about it, but then they don't know their insurance, and then they don't end up coming back because it's just not affordable to them.
Correct. Yeah,
so
good stuff.
It's a sad world.
But at the end of the day, we're helping as many people as we can, moving in the right direction of what we can do. We're two dudes having a strong drink and breaking down the fourth wall. So, trying to. Next week, next episode, like we said, it's going to be me, you, and Briar.
Mm-hmm.
Getting into the nitty-gritty of the different professions that we operate in and around, and kind of what it is to be a physical therapist. What should you see at physical therapy versus what shouldn't?
Right.
How should it go?
How does that compare to personal training? What's the difference? Why do I need to go to a physical therapist versus a personal trainer? Why should I go to both?
When does a chiropractor come into play? Really good. And we might piss some people off. We might step on a hell of a lot of toes, and I'm not holding back next week.
Yep.
Yeah. But thank you.
If you ever hold back.
No, God.
No.
Why would I hold back? That's not fun.
That's not fun.
I'm about as blunt gets.
You are.
But I'm funny about it, I think. Anyway, thank you everybody for chiming in. Tuning in. As always, like, subscribe, follow.
Comment.
Comment. Ask us those questions. If something about insurance is weird, post it. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Ask us the stuff that doesn't make sense. We will talk about the more complicated insurances like Medicare, Medicaid, TRICARE, VA on a later episode.
Yeah.
That gets a little bit more deep divey.
Trying to space the sore points out.
Yeah.
Mix it up a little bit.
Although next week, I'm going to sore point some chiropractors for sure. And maybe some personal trainers. And honestly, I'm going to sore point some physical therapists, because there are some shitty-ass physical therapists out there, and I'm going to call them out.
Absolutely.
So y'all better get ready, because I'm calling you out.
We have a lot of stories to tell.
But you know what? This is a good episode.
Yeah.
It's nice to dive in. So we're here. We're drinking
Penelope.
Some Penelope bourbon. Go get yourself a bottle. It's pretty good. It's a little bit more on the expensive end, but
worth it.
Great flavor. Really good flavor. Yeah, pretty good. Cheers.